Welcome to Who's Your Neighbor? I'm Terry McGill. I'm coming to you from Portland, Oregon. Our guest tonight is coming to us from Toronto, Ontario, where there's snow on the ground and ours has gone away for the moment. That's if you're live uh, on the show, watching it live. So, this show came about 2 years ago, approximately, whenever COVID first hit the news. I was doing a live workshop in Beaverton, which is the other side of Portland from where I live, every Wednesday night. And I read about it on the web, and I just told the people, I emailed them, I said, we're not going to meet live anymore. I just knew that it was not a good thing to meet in a small room. And you know the rest of the story. COVID just cranked up worldwide tremendously. After just a few months, I began to see news stories and Facebook posts, and people, the biggest ones, the ones that disturbed me the most, were when there was a couple living together. When they went off, one of them at least went off to work and was gone for 10 or 11 hours a day. They could get along, maybe not well, but they could get along. But when they were closed up in the same house, apartment, or wherever, it became brutal, literally. Not only that, but over the following months, we began to see that we're human beings. We need we need people around us. We need to be able to talk, to say hi. Um, and after 2 years, we needed to get a hug. Um, and so I was asked to start this webcast, Who's Your Neighbor? And it's based on we need to have, or at least I want to foster, and those that are on the team helping produce this, we want to foster inclusion, collaboration, community, and that's where the name Who's Your Neighbor came from. We don't know our neighbors. I was seeing the different news items about somebody had a problem next door, and people was next door to them didn't even know about it because we don't know our neighbors. I know the people on either side of us, but we hardly ever talk because they're coming and going. We're coming. I'm actually inside a lot. I'm retired now. So this show started to bring you people like our guest tonight. Alan Luke in Toronto. I went through a course that he has because I'd been trying to launch a web business for 6 years and just couldn't do it. Blockage after blockage, and not understanding all of the things that need to be connected. And after, I forget, 6, 7, 8 weeks, wow, Alan has done this for 10 years or so. And talk about an internet marketing pro. So I asked him to join us tonight and welcome Alan.
Hi,
So
Terry. How are you?
I'm so glad that you could, because I know it's after 10 o'clock at night there in Toronto,
Yes.
but I really appreciate you being willing to come up here on the show. And also, toward the end, you're going to offer a gift. So, web marketing, funnels, and all that other jargon I had no clue about or very little. How did you start in it? How long you been doing this?
Yeah, thank you, Terry. And it's a pleasure to be here today. Yes, my name is Alan. I'm from Toronto, the really cold Canadian weather right now we have. So, how I got started, it was probably about 10, 12 years ago when actually started my digital marketing, or it was back then, it was web design agency. was actually just me. So I was going to the local businesses, like your local spa salons, the local restaurants. I had an interest in like website. I actually learned it myself. I actually didn't learn it in school. I just kind of picked it up. It was HTML back then, and we used Microsoft front page back in the days. So I was just playing around with it and start doing these websites, and then I was start to go to local businesses to basically ask them if they want a website, right? So it was actually pretty difficult to sell any website.
Well, 10
And
years ago, there wasn't that many people in small businesses had a website, was there?
yeah, like I think the trend is picking up. Like there are like the website is got to be known, but a lot of small businesses don't fully understand like why you need it. Um, and with Google, like they understand that there people search on Google, but it wasn't like a very needed thing, right? So I need to actually go and actually tell them the idea of why a website is important. So I kind of started that off, and then later on, I actually start building a small team. So I had other like a web designer building the website. So I was more going out and doing the selling. And then after that, I evolved into offering some digital marketing services. Um, but then in 1 year, my partner and I, had some conflict with the business, so we kind of stopped it. But that's where I kind of started off with that whole web digital marketing, and those skills is kind of transferable to today. Now we're talking about like funnels and gathering email opt-ins, and also now helping spiritual healers to launch
So,
their heart-based business.
so Alan, for those that are watching that have about as much familiarity as I did a few years ago, what is a funnel and how does it work and what's the purpose?
Yeah, so when you look at traditional website, right, you see that they have a homepage and they have probably a lot of different sub pages, right? So home, about, services. When you put your mouse near services, another couple of the sub menu drops down, and there could be like a contact page, or so there could be like 5, 6, 7, or even more pages, right? But with a funnel, so the funnel is a word that has been kind of popularized in the last probably like 5, 6 years, more mainstream. So a funnel is essentially, as the word implies, that so the philosophy behind it is, when you look at a funnel, right? So you start off with wide, and then you go, like the right, like that, right? So pretty much is, how do you go about like positioning a specific offer? So in this, let's say if you're giving out a free gift, we call it a free lead magnet. Let's say it's a free ebook that you're giving out, right? But the main thing about funnel is, this gift is not, she doesn't resonate with everybody, right? So it's only resonate with a specific audience. So what this funnel does is going to capture an email address. That's solely the main purpose, is to have one action. When people go to the web page or that funnel page, it's simply a headline, maybe a sub headline, a couple of bullet points, and say, get the ebook, and you put in your name and email. So you either leave the page or you give them that email address.
So the biggest question I think for me and maybe others is, how do they see, what is it that, how do we put the word out there to get them to come into the funnel in the first place?
Yeah, well, so now you're talking about getting qualified visitors or traffic to the funnel. That's always the $1 million question in online marketing, right? We're talking about how do you, because when you build it, they don't come, right? So in terms of bringing qualified visitors to a funnel, there are the free ways and there are the paid ways. So let's talk about the free ways. The free ways could be you put out a specific post on social media announcing that you're giving out a free ebook, for example, right? And you can announce that, and you put the web link. People click on it. Some will just X out the page. Some read it, okay, and doesn't do anything, and some read it as, oh, I'm very interested in getting Terry's ebook. So they put in the first name, email, and click submit. Now this email address is now in your database.
So they've now gone into the funnel.
They've gone into the first step of the funnel.
They put themselves into the funnel by clicking on something like on social media, Twitter, correct, or all those other ones that I can't remember offhand.
Exactly. So one tip I would give to the audience is when you are posting something on social media, okay, nobody likes to be sold, right? So if you just come on and say, hey, get my ebook, people are some, but people don't resonate with it. But one thing is you can actually tell a story, all right? So social media is all about story and engagement, right? So if you tell a story, a personal story, that's something I always teach my student is when you tell a story. So a story, a story post is pretty much a hook, right? So a hook, like grabbing somebody's attention, and then you go into a little story. The story could be a personal story of yours in the past, right? There's a lot of story you can tell, and then you give a couple of teaching points. So from the story, you learn about these three things, okay? And then, so their audience is learning something. And then after the teaching point, you give them a call to action, right? That is to wrap the
this book. Incidentally, for our watchers and listeners, Alan spent significant amount of time opening us up. The group of I was in I don't know how many were there, a dozen?
Yeah, we had close to probably like
12,
20
15,
people. Yeah,
14. Yeah. So Alan helped us understand the importance of story. But let's go back to the funnel. You said there were, if I heard right, there were 3 different ways we draw people in. One of them is social media. How do we get more people into our funnel?
Yeah, so social media using so the free method. So using a story post by you sharing a story. That even means is those who see that post resonate with your story, resonate with your 3 or 2 teaching points, and click on that link. They're even more qualified. That shows that they are actually interested in what you have to offer.
Right.
And what that also means is those who click on the link, go to the funnel page, it is very likely they will opt in. They'll give you their email address. So the conversion of the opt-in is much higher. So that's the free way. The other way is paid, right? So paid means I'm sure you probably have seen like a little ad on Facebook, right? On Instagram. So these are called a sponsor posts. So meaning is you pay. I will just use Facebook for example, right? Because Instagram works a little bit differently. Let's say Facebook. So Facebook has a lot of data on all of us. Okay, it's kind of scary, but it's the truth. So advertisers love marketing on Facebook. So Facebook is something we call interruption marketing, right? So when you're on interruption, so you're interrupting somebody. So when we go on Facebook, usually is you just probably checking out people's photos. So you're a little bit more relaxed state. Okay.
Right.
Which I'll talk a little bit about Google next, because Google is actually intent based. But let's go back to Facebook first. So Facebook is we're on Facebook, probably on your phone, you're scrolling, checking out people's posts, checking out photos, and suddenly you see a post. So you're interrupting them, right? So how you interrupt people's behavior, or interrupt what, maybe they were looking at a cat video and your ad shows up. So your headline, right, in the ad must be interesting, curious, right? It causes curiosity. And that picture, if it's a picture, kind of a photo kind of ad or video, it must be captivating, right? So for people to, because we only have like a few seconds, right? So you need to grab the attention of your audience. If they resonate, so the headline resonate, the picture resonate, they'll likely click on it to learn more. That's how, when they click on it, it goes to your funnel page. But one thing I want to mention is, in marketing, there is a word called congruency. So meaning is the headline, the photo must be congruent. Congruent means it is similar messaging, so that it takes the user into the same, if, let's say, if your ad is selling a weight loss product and suddenly you go here, it's about cats, then they'll be like confused. So the messaging on the ad, right, or the photo, they click on it, it should be the same messaging. If you can use the same color, it'll be even better, so that your audience mind is succinct. Is, oh, okay, they're giving an ebook, the same messaging, I want that ebook, right?
So that's similar to the branding concept,
Correct.
where we use colors, images that are congruent, consistent.
Exactly. Yeah. So I talk about Facebook, that is interrupting somebody's pattern. Same thing with Instagram, right? You're on Instagram and you suddenly see an ad, that's also interrupting somebody. But on Google, right, how we use Google is keyword based. So when you are looking for something, you actually go on Google or go on YouTube to search for something. If you want to learn about natural remedies for weight loss, you actually go on Google and type it in, and you're expecting to find something, right? So if your ad comes up, it's actually an intent-based ad, because your ad is showing up when they most need it, right?
So that's the difference between intention and interruption.
Yes, correct.
Got it.
Yeah. Even on YouTube, when you on YouTube, the way YouTube ads. So there's different social media platform, or even, so we have Facebook, we have Instagram, there is the TikTok now, there is YouTube, there is LinkedIn. Every platform has their own advertising serving the platform for you to go in there and put in your ad, your messaging. But you just have to really know your audience. You have to really do your research into understanding what is the best way to put your ads out there. All right. So most business owners starting off, is I would not suggest you to go directly into paid advertising, because you could, if you don't know what you're doing, you could lose a lot of money.
Just
so the
waste
best
your
way,
money.
the best way is to go the free route first. Test some of the your posts on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, Twitter. So putting your content out and start to analyze what are the posts that your network are engaging on, right? So if, and after a while you see a pattern, so that proves that, oh, if people like this kind of post, or this kind of story post or content, right, or a particular topic that you're teaching or you're sharing, then that could likely do well when it is on the paid platform, right? So you use free as a way to test things out, to understand about audience, right? So the most important thing I could say is, doesn't matter if you're doing free or paid, the most important way to share your message is to really understand what your audience want. Like, what are some topics that they would like to know? So that's so important. That's why it's so important to know who you're talking to, who is your target market, right, or your niche market. And once you have that niche market, you can now you can now research what are the pain points or what's keeping them up late at night as they think about these problems that are going through in their mind.
And what I want our viewers to be aware of, Alan will explain what pain points are. He goes into, how he just mentioned, test your ads and see what works. There's a way to do that he showed us. Yeah. Back to you.
Thank you, Terry. So pain point is really understand, like when we look at funnels, it's always one problem and one solution, right? So I'll use the example back as, let's say somebody is having a headache, and they're going online searching for natural remedies for headache, right? So the pain point is they have a headache, right? Or there's a recurring headache, right? And again, there's also, different kind of headache, but I'm just going to use it more general right now as those who are looking for natural remedies, right? So they have a particular problem, and they don't likely is these individuals don't like these traditional medicine, right? Like they don't like the Western medications and things like that. So they're looking for natural remedies. And so that's the pain point is they have a headache, they're going through this, but they haven't found a solution yet. And the outcome is, after exposing to your funnel page or whatever you're giving away, is going to close that gap between the pain point and a solution. So you're presenting perhaps a natural remedy ingredient that has been passed down by your great grandmother and is working amazingly, and now you're sharing this recipe, right, with your audience. So that's why somebody will give you an email address. They're giving you an email address in exchange for your recipe. That could be a one-page document.
They want information. Right? They want to heal their headache.
Exactly.
And they're willing to give up, and they won't get the information. One of the things I found was I had people that would give me an email address that would bounce, but if they want the headache remedy, the natural headache remedy, they've got to give a real email address, or they won't get it.
Yeah. That's why I see a lot of business owners having the wrong lead magnet. So meaning is they're giving something that the market don't really want, or it's not painful enough for them to really get it, right? Like you said, if somebody just put a fake email, then likely is they just want to check what it is, but they don't really want it. But if you do enough research, so I can talk about a few ways that you could do research. Is there's right now online information is so abundant, right? When you go to YouTube, right, you type in a particular keyword, let's say, natural headache remedy, it's going to have a lot of videos that pops up, right? And the thing about these YouTube marketers is they're very smart. They know what thumbnail, the titles will attract attention. So you can learn just by looking at these videos, those videos that are on the first page on YouTube, and taking a look at the thumbnail. You can actually learn a lot about the topics, the questions, right? A lot of these videos are actually question based, and these questions are usually what the ideal market wants, right?
I remember during the course you were giving us assignments to do. One of them was to do exactly that. Yeah. Go out there and see what what you think of as your niche or niche. I used to call it niche. So it's actually a correct pronunciation either way for those of you that are wondering. I checked it out. But the point is, when I went out and looked, I did it. I found exactly what you're talking about. It's like, wow, it was a real education for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, with AI, in the last few months, Chat GPT has kind of blown up, and a lot of people know about it. And you can still get a free account. You can actually ask GPT, give me 10 commonly asked questions, in the topic of natural headache remedy, right? So it's gonna populate you 10 specific questions, right? So you can do so much research and understanding of your market just by asking ChatGPT, and it's going to give you everything you need, right? You can ask them to give you 50 topics, right? 50 questions. It's going to do that for you.
I really appreciated your giving us that during the course, because half a dozen of us was just like, wow, this is awesome. And then
Yeah,
the point that you gave to us was, what was that? We have to look at it and be congruent, because what comes up in artificial intelligence isn't always the way that we would speak. Say more about that, would you?
exactly. So AI, artificial intelligence is a really, I think now that they have really developed it to give you good information, but you still need to take a look at it. Do not copy and paste. You still have to look at it and really adapt it to your own need, right? Like when we're speaking, just pretend if you are speaking to a friend, would you say it that way, right? You still want to make it simple to understand, and you still want to put some emotions and feelings to it, right? So when you're doing your marketing, when you're doing social media, nothing beats story, right? When you tell a story, when you walk people through those emotions, right? When you walk them through the lessons you learn, those are interesting. You can still use ChatGPT as a way to maybe help you to give you ideas, right, on some of the learning points. But that's how what I say is, use it with caution. Like don't over depend on it, but mix your chat gpt, but at the end of the day is make sure that you edit it to your own sharing, right? The way that you would share it or talk to like a good friend.
That was one of the things that I saw. You mentioned several points. The one I noticed, most of the time the words were fine. There wasn't any discongruency, but there wasn't any fire in it either. And so I needed to put it into a different tone.
Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, people would go to sleep reading it.
exactly. But now with ChatGPT, you can actually ask it to uh you know to write it in an exciting, more upbeat tone. You can actually tell it to do that, to change the tone of the content,
I
and
hadn't
then
thought about that. That's
yes,
great
you can
insight.
still do that. Yeah, you can do that, but you still want to kind of edit it on your own afterwards.
You know what I appreciate the most about this show is I get to talk with a lot of people all kinds of different services, and those little insights. I mean, you can tell when somebody, number one, can speak well, and number two, when they're really good at communicating what it is that they have discovered. Um, I've just appreciated going through your course.
Oh, thank you,
Uh,
Terry.
and I hope this isn't sounding like I'm trying to sell you, but I am still I spent 6 years and over $10,000 trying to put a funnel onto the web,
Mm,
trying to start a web-based business, and I
yeah.
couldn't.
Mm,
Now I got it. The biggest thing for me, and Alan, seriously, the biggest insight I had was I had a fear. Everybody goes, at least a lot of people, you know that better than I do, I bet. They go, well, wait a minute. If I narrow down the group that I'm looking for, there won't be enough people to pay my bills. And one day you said something, it turned the light on for me. The purpose of a funnel is to bring in, 1,000 people, how many people do we really need? I only need 10 people a month.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting 25 hits a month, I'm busy. That's in fact I'm sometimes too busy. Um, Bite my tongue. I don't want to say that, but the whole concept of the funnel and the insight I got from that one comment that you made is you just need to bring more people into your funnel. It's like, wow, that was the biggest block I had about narrowing down who it was. And after that, it was like, okay, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of. Here is the core. Where is my passion? Who do I really want to work with?
Yeah, Terry, let me give you a quick example as well, as because I've been talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and healers. Is at the beginning, they tell me, I want to serve everybody. I don't want to niche
Yes,
down.
I hear
Like
that.
I have that heart to just help everybody. So here's an analogy, okay, like for you and the viewers to understand, right? So let's say, okay, that one of your really close friends, she's a female and she is pregnant, okay? And she tells you, hey, Terry, I got a really big headache, okay? Can you please go to the pharmacy and get me, a headache pill, okay? So I can, so I can cure that headache, okay? So you go to the pharmacy and you go to the aisle that is, or the headache pills. So, but you see three kinds of headache pills, okay? So the first kind is it said, the label says headache for adult, and it's $5. Okay. The next to it, you see headache for woman, it's $10. Say, okay. Now you look at the right, you see a third types of headache pills. It said headache for pregnant woman, okay, and it's $20. Now, which one would you get?
Well, for me, it would be the headache for pregnant women.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The
So
money doesn't matter as much as the solution.
exactly. Who knows? Maybe they're all the same pills, but you are looking
Be.
at the third one, knowing that this, it says headache, for pregnant women. So just right away, it doesn't matter that this pill is 4 times more expensive than the first pill. You still get it because the messaging is telling you exactly that. And when you are looking for a specific thing, that's why messaging and the niche is so important. If you say headache for adult, okay, so you might get some people, right? But the thing is, is very vague. It's very broad. But once you focus it down to a very specific market, not only are you able to charge a higher price, but you can also connect deeper with the audience, right? And this also leads to kind of like the next little topic is, I say, in any story, the most powerful story is your origin story, right? So your origin story is where you were, like, where you were is, meaning is those that you want to serve are likely you a few years ago, right? And you're simply bringing your own experience where you kind of walk that same path, right? So somebody, let's say, for example, as one of my clients, had experienced social anxiety, okay, um, and very shy and all that, but he gone through transformation himself. He gone through healing. He learned about confidence. So his ideal market is in fact other individuals, men, that are also going through social anxiety because he walked that path already. So when he talked to these ideal clients, he can simply share where he was a few years ago because he was at that same exact situation.
Personal
But through
background.
trial and error or going through healing, he discovered this, and this. And with that said, I would like to lead you over the next 6 weeks through a 6-week coaching program to help you go from shy, social anxiety to being calm, confidence, and living your best life. Right? Like
Beautiful.
that's really how when your ideal audience listen to your content or talk to you, they're like, wow, you've been there. I would like to learn the exact same steps because you're just a few steps ahead of me.
So, Alan, that's a perfect segue into what you said, what you offered, and that is, um, what is this free gift that you have?
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a 60-minute masterclass. Is a workshop, and it's all about launching your heart aligned business. So there are 6 steps, in launching a heart aligned business. Number one is really getting clarity and knowing your why, right? So I actually go through an exercise in that workshop that kind of walk you through getting clarity and knowing your why. And
I
the
remember
second
that. I remember that one very well.
Yeah, yeah. And the second step is identifying your aligned niche audience, right? So I also go through a few questions that you can help you to walk through. And I even talk about the origin story framework on how you can build your own origin story. And the third step is to create a heart center offer. Is what is it that you're offering in the marketplace? Are you offering a coaching program? Are you offering a course? Whatever that is leading somebody through a transformational journey.
And
And
what I
then,
would add for our listeners is that there is, and you may be aware of it, but you'll be more deeply aware of it after Alan's 1 hour course. The way that you phrase your heart-centered offer is so important.
mm,
And I'm reminded again tonight how it's just like insight after insight. Wow. So what was
yeah,
point number 4?
thank you, Terry. The fourth step is now that you know your origin story, you have a niche market, you have an offer. Now is put together a lead magnet, like we talked about, to create your own little funnel, right? So, and then the fifth step is to once you like you asked me, once you have the funnel, is how do you get people to know about your funnel? So it's all about heart aligned sharing and marketing and storytelling. And the final step is if you have a 6-week coaching program or a 9-week coaching program, people like to talk to you first before they go sign up. So you need to walk your audience, your ideal client, into a very comfortable, non-salesy conversation. I really truly believe in the heart center sharing. Is you're so with conviction that you have such an amazing transformational program. Really is you just sharing it from your heart and connecting it back to how it helped you, what you've gone through to learn these, and you would love to pass the same wisdoms and knowledge to them. So you're simply just sharing with them what is it that you've gone through. And I keep saying it to my clients too, is if you are fearful or anxious or afraid to share, you're actually doing your prospect, your ideal clients, a disservice, right? Because you have something powerful, but if you're shy or afraid to share it, where would they go? Right? You're actually being a little selfish on not sharing with them this is a solution that could help them.
That's a
So
great.
that's really the 6-step process
Yeah.
to launch your heart aligned business.
So this 1 hour is that this. How is it that you're offering it?
So for those that go to heartalignedbusiness.com, I appreciate what I said is you put in an email address and you'll be able to watch that 60-minute workshop, and I'm sure
And
you'll
it's
be able to
free.
pick up some. Yeah, it's free. It's free. It's
Wonderful.
a 60-minute workshop. Yeah,
So
and
for our viewers, down at the bottom, you'll see the URL there, the page to go to, and our producer will put that over in the comments section. So it's going to be there for you to refer to after it disappears off our screen here. Um, And you're going to be able to watch this video again. It's recorded. It's going to be on Facebook. Who knows how long? Forever. And you'll also be able to connect with Alan. And we'll put his contact information into the comments also. Here's his email right now. And if you don't get it all copied down, our producer is going to put it over in the comments section, and it'll be there. So, Alan, I hope that our viewers haven't felt like I was trying to sell you, but it's a free gift. And
It's a free gift. Yeah.
yeah, and I went through, I forget how many weeks it was, but all I know is I had so many insights and I had so many personal blockages dissolve.
Mm.
And the biggest one, well, actually, telling my origin story was a big one, because I didn't realize how much I worried about what people would think about me if I really shared stuff. So there was a big insight for me. But the biggest one, the biggest block that I had, and it just dissolved that one day when you said something and it was like, whoa, I got it. A funnel is like, it's like a big net if you're fishing. If you're out there with a little net on the end of a stick, there could be 1,000 fish where you're dipping in, but you're not going to get that many in a little net. But if you've got a big net, then some of those, you're not going to catch them all, but you're going to get enough. And then people will go into your funnel. Alan used the term lead magnet. He will describe that. I'm imagining you're going to describe it in this 60-minute.
Yes, everything is explained, and I even share about my origin story on how I actually, from working with local businesses to now working with the spiritual community, because of that huge transformation that I've gone through, and that was my origin story.
So, if somebody is interested after watching the video, are you going to be offering these courses anymore?
Yeah, so for those that are interested on that same page, so once you give an email, you got to watch the recording. And if you have any questions or you would like to connect with me, there is actually a Calendly link at the bottom of that page where you can actually book a call with me and we can discuss to see how I can help you further.
So, I'm just realizing, Alan, your recording is a lead magnet, isn't it?
Exactly, Terry.
Click, I got it. And, I think what I appreciate the most about you, the information is great. And there's actually, I didn't run on to, and I've 6 years. I taught, I registered for a lot of courses. I went through them. But two things, I never met anybody, never heard of anybody. And when they said, check with my team, they were not as heart-centered by far. They had good intentions, but they were in a hurry. I never felt like they really heard me. And with you, that was what I appreciated. If I remember right, you gave us an extra session beyond what we'd signed up for.
Yeah,
What
a
you'd
practice
signed up
session.
for.
Yeah. One of the things I find is when others share, you get to learn, and you also eliminate that self-doubt as well, because others have gone deep, for example, in their origin story. So you suddenly, your heart starts to open more, and you begin to pull up those layers, and you begin to be authentic, to become vulnerable, to really step into your true voice. And when you come into that place and position, that's how you can really connect and resonate with your ideal audience.
Well, Alan, I am so grateful that you stayed up late at night to to be the guest tonight on Who's Your Neighbor. And if for our viewers, if you're wondering about, well, wait a minute, he's 2,700 miles away, how's he my neighbor? We're a global community anymore. This is the web. I've got friends really in Mumbai, India, in Perth, Australia, Malaysia, Philippines, as well as North America. Yeah. So who's your neighbor? If you, our viewers, know someone, Alan, if you do, who are really heart-centered and offering services, please let me know. You can send an email to, Michelle, if you'd put it up there, Terry McGill at Comcast.net. I'm always looking for someone like you, Alan. It's like, wow, there's so much value here. I've got a personal experience with what you offer.
Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, well, there's my email address. Great. So it's interesting. I just realized why I'm not seeing things in comments, because I hadn't clicked. I still had it on private chat. For those of you that are viewers, it's over on the right-hand side that you can't see on my screen, but I wasn't seeing what you were saying in the comments. Now I can see it. And so, Alan, I just, again, thank you so much. It's,
Thank you, Terry.
it's time for us to end. Yeah. So I'll be in touch. And I hope we'll be able to maybe have lunch together when I'm in Toronto next week. That's my time and his time right now. If you're watching and recording it, we may have already met. So I'm Terry McGill. This is Who's Your Neighbor? And next week, I forget how many episodes this is, 47. This is the 47th interview. These are all on the Facebook page. And there's a wealth of information. There are so many people in this world who offer heart-centered services. And I know because I've interviewed a whole bunch of them. And I'm looking for others. So if you know of some, please do let me know. My email address, I don't see it over there yet, but it's Terry McGill. And Terry's spelled many different ways. With a guy, it's always Terry. McGill is there. It is. It's over in the. It's in the comments now. Please send me an email, and you might ask the contact person first before you share their email, and you probably already figured that out. But thank you so much for being with us tonight, or today, whenever you're watching and wherever you are in the world. We are neighbors, and so until next time, who's your neighbor?